8:37. It is Wednesday, and we know it's Wednesday because Dr. Jeffrey Lowell is in, and Kat Neville pops her smiling face into the studio. She's publisher of FeastMagazine.com, also the host of Feast TV, which you should be watching on a weekly basis on Channel 9. Good morning, Kat Neville.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
We're doing fantastic.
Necklace.
Thank you very
Scarf.
much.
Necklace scarf.
It's a necklace.
It's a necklace scarf.
Really cute.
Thanks.
Okay.
What do you expect?
I know. Of course.
You sound surprised. Wow, that's really
No,
you look really
because
good
it looks
today.
like a scarf, but it's a necklace.
Yes, it is.
It's
Yes.
really cool.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Let's get to a couple of
This is on video also,
Yes.
just in case
Exactly.
anybody's curious.
That is
Right.
correct. STLtoday.com and KTRS.com. Let's get to a couple of restaurants. What do you got for us?
Well, I have one new restaurant, and I have also an old favorite that has new digs. And I'll start out with that old fave, and it is the Wine Merchant, and which is one of my favorite places to buy wine in St. Louis. And it has a new location, still in Clayton, but now it's 7817 Forsyth Boulevard.
Because I went there a week ago, and I'm like,
What'd you think?
On Hanley. No, I went to the Hanley
Oh, yeah.
location.
Not there any
And
longer.
I'm like, oh my God, where are they?
Okay,
And they're
it
on
used to
Forsyth.
be like right catty corner to J Bucks, right?
Essentially,
Kind of, yeah.
And so now it's kind of just around the corner on
Okay.
Forsyth. And just in case you're wondering, the parking is behind the building.
And here's the deal. I didn't go in because I didn't know they had parking behind the building.
Exactly, which is why right off the bat, I want to tell you there absolutely is parking behind the building, and it's in an old bank building, and the front is just gorgeous, and the interior, same great selection they always had. They still have their wonderful cheese counter, and if you have not purchased cheese at the Wine Merchant, please go, because you can taste every single thing in the counter, including their cured meats. They now have these amazing demi baguettes, and demi means like a small, like a half-size baguette, that are frozen, as opposed to what they were carrying previously, where now you can take that home, pop it in the oven at like 325, heat it up. I actually went in and tasted a bunch of cheeses and came out with a really wonderful aged sheep's milk cheese, and then also a bloomy rind, which is that kind of a brie or a camembert style cheese that when it gets to room temperature, it gets all melty. And when you take that and you spread it on the warm baguette, pair it with the bottle of wine. Hello.
All right,
Nice.
call it a night.
Yes. And so one of the wonderful things about the Wine Merchant, there are a lot of great places around town, obviously, that have wine selections, but the Wine Merchant really specializes in education. And so they have classes very consistently, and the staff is very well trained to when you walk in and say, okay, I'm having, this group of people over, I'm going to be making X, Y, and Z for dinner. What in the world should I, pair with this dinner? And here's my price point. And they're very good about pointing you to things that you can, that won't break the bank and that are very high quality, that pair with what you need. And they have what they call the Merch Club. And I am a member of the Merch Club. And so each month there are two different price points. One is like $35 a month, and one's like $70 bucks a month. And I do the $35. And what they do is they pick two different wines, and they're meant month by month to kind of pair with the season and foods that you'll be cooking. And it's just so much fun because you never know what you're going to get. And they give you all the tasting notes with it. So if you're interested in exploring wine, it's a great way to do that.
I love those clubs, those
Me too.
barbecue clubs and those wine clubs and everything else. It's a great way to go about.
Yeah, if you know that you have a love for something,
Right.
whether it's barbecue or beer or wine, it's a really nice way to kind of get yourself further into it, because you have experts picking stuff out, and then you get to just
and they're
try.
so helpful when you go in. If
They're
you know nothing about
wonderful.
wine or a little bit.
The last time you talked about it, I went in there. They were great. They
They're
were great.
terrific.
Yeah. By the way, so now they're on Forsyth.
Yes.
Right there on the corner of Forsyth and what is that, Hanley, basically?
It's not really even on a corner. It's kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
In the middle of the block. So really close to the crossing, if you know where the crossing is.
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
on the same side of the street.
All right, good. By the way, before we get to number two, Jimmy's on the Park sponsors Kat Neville and Feast Magazine here, and been doing it since day one. Jimmy's on the Park, 706 to Munn in Clayton. Call them at 725-8585 or their website, jimmyscafe.com. And we're going to be talking to the Muni here in a minute. And we've got Holiday Inn this week at the Muni, and what a perfect place for dinner before the Muni. Jimmy's on the Park or jimmyscafe.com. Okay, what's number two?
Number two, We've been talking about Mike Emerson a lot, and his partner at like Bogart's and Pappy's, Skip Steele. So he and
Okay, before you go any further,
Yes.
Did I tell you my New York story when you told me to go?
Yeah.
So I went to that barbecue festival. It was a Big Apple barbecue festival
exactly.
in New York, and we found Pappy's deal, and it was a barbecue festival in New York City. So we go, and of course we get Pappy's. It was the shortest line I've ever been to at Pappy's, right? It was right there. So we're having lunch in New York, and we're having Pappy's ribs, and 7 people came up to me and said, "Hey, where'd you get those? Hey, where are those? Hey, where's it?" It was like you were. I was like, Pappy's down there, the best barbecue in
That's
town.
right.
So I mean, it was amazing how all these New Yorkers were walking by, looking at it and smelling it, and saying, "Hey, how do I get that?" So anyway, I was doing my part.
Well, and now there is a new spot to get the deliciousness, and it's called Dalie's, and it's in Valley Park at 2951 Doherty Ferry Road. And so what they've done is they've taken some favorites from both Pappy's and Bogart's, but they've also added some new stuff to the menu. Their ribs, they serve them sauced and then glazed and then caramelized under high heat. They have a bunch of different sandwiches. They have a barbecued ham and cheese. They have a brisket, pulled chicken. I mean, it's still very classic barbecue, but they have stuff like barbecue nachos and a barbecue salad. They're doing mac and cheese on the side. They have baked beans that are cooked in the pit for 14 hours, smoked. Yeah.
Sorry. I didn't know my mic was on.
Yeah. Hello. Exactly. They also have these fire and ice pickles, and that can be served with a bunch of different things. But then they also take they deep fry those pickles and serve them with like a Cajun mayo. I mean, just great stuff.
So now, is this
Yeah.
Mike Emerson doing this, or is he partying with somebody?
No,
or
it's,
what's-
it's Mike and Skip.
Okay.
So Mike and Skip Steele, and so the name is actually Skip Steele's grandfather was Joe Dalie Wells, and so Dalie's Smokehouse.
Gotcha.
That's where they
Nice.
got the name. Yeah, so it's really terrific, and they also are serving beer and wine, which Pappy's locations do not. So they do have tea and soda and all that kind of stuff, but they also dine-in only are serving beer and wine. And then obviously, there's all this takeout that you can have, so you can go in, grab a bunch of great stuff to go. So
they have that St. Albans location now.
well, so what they're doing in St. Albans is that on the weekends, they
Okay.
are cooking at, and now the name of the spot is escaping me, but it is in conjunction with the folks from Annie Gunn's who
Okay.
own that shop. And it's been this really wonderful, it's been around since the 19th century, right there in St. Albans, kind of like this country store, place to stop in, grab a sandwich, grab a beer. And so what they've done is they're now serving barbecue on the weekends. And also what the folks at the spot in St. Albans have done is they have expanded it to offer like smash burgers and fries and all of that.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay, so that, and now they got the Dalie's
Yes.
in Valley Park
on Doherty Ferry Road.
on Doherty Ferry Road, and that's open now.
It is open.
Beautiful. What's going on with FeastCom?
Well, this is now, it is July, and so this entire month is Tomato Explosion, and 140 restaurants across the St. Louis area are serving tomato-themed dishes, and every time you purchase one of those dishes, a donation is made to Operation Food Search. So if you go to feastmagazine.com, we have all the information on the participating restaurants, but it's a very easy way to give back to one of the most significant hunger relief organizations in the area.
That's nice. Okay. Feastmagazine.com for everything else. And then
fab.
TV show on Channel 9.
Yes.
Magazines out. Newsstands everywhere. You can subscribe. Go to feastmagazine.com.
Yep, exactly.
It's Cat Neville and FeastCom. Feastmagazine.com. Have a good week. Thanks.
Thank you. You too.
8:45, traffic, weather, sports, Big 550, KTR.